NAR is trying to put the pacifier in your mouth, realtor.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make you believe they are the white knight. They're the good guys. This is Byron, Lazine, and Nicole White, and you were tuned into episode 288 of The Real Word.
Word is up.
Up next week, Nicole, we're going to have a third guest. And by the way, he's welcome to bring, he has a co-host.
Is he coming here?
No, I'm going to be actually in Naples getting ready for BAM
that's
Camp,
right, BAM
which
Camp.
there's like only, I hate to even say it because by the time this goes up, we might absolutely be sold out, but there are a few tickets left, hopefully. Link below. If you're a BAMX member, you get 25% off. But anyways, I'm going to be at BAM Camp next week, so I'll be in Naples. You'll be here.
I'll be here.
I believe the Notorious R.O.B lives in Vegas. He did say he was Pacific time, so I think he's a Vegas resident. So he'll be tuning in from Vegas. He does a podcast with Greg Robertson. I've listened to some of them. They're very good. Maybe he'll bring Greg, maybe not. Obviously,
Did he reach out to you?
So somebody on Twitter. So if you didn't watch last week's Real Word, go watch it.
Okay.
So we react to a Substack that Notorious R.O.B wrote. He's been covering the real estate industry for quite some time.
Yes.
I took apart that Substack a little bit. I disagreed with some of his positioning on the Substack when he's talking about, hey, agents and realtors are more upset about this sexual harassment case against NAR versus the SDAR, San Diego Association of Realtors, embezzlement, which is really insane as well.
Right. None of it's good.
No, none of it's good. So I made my case against really the position that he took in that Substack. We're going to talk about that next week. So somebody on Twitter X, put a clip of our podcast and tagged him. So then he saw it and started a little bit of a conversation. It seemed like
with you or with the individual that posted?
Just there was like a couple comments there, so it seemed like there was, a handful of people that were like, "Hey, want to see this podcast come together?" Rob wrote on Twitter X, "Hey, come on my pod or I'll go on yours." Since I asked him to come here on the Real Word because we started the conversation last week on the Real Word pod. We've been talking about the NAR issues here the last couple of weeks. I want to continue the conversation here. So Notorious R.O.B is coming on next week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because that's going to be
He
great.
needs to change his name. It needs to be Notorious R.O.B.
I think it's very catchy.
I like the Notorious. I mean, it's this Notorious B.I.G.
You want to call him R.O.B.
It's Notorious R.O.B.
Next week, you take that up with him.
I will.
All right.
That's probably about all that I can add to the conversation.
We're looking forward to having you on next week. Invite Greg if you'd like, his cohort, which I believe, I'd have to look back, but you and I, we've been nominated twice for the Inman.
Oh, you think he was nominated? I don't ever
remember. I think
remember
they won it the year.
As Notorious R.O.B?
No, their podcast won it. Him and Greg Robertson's podcast.
What's the name of it?
Industry Relations. Was that what beat us the first time we were nominated for Inman Podcast of the Year? I think that was it.
There's probably a way we could look back.
Now, we've never gone, and we've always been hinted, hey, if you come out, so I know they were, whoever beat us was there. I think
we're definitely not going to be nominated this year. So
we don't get nominated anymore.
I don't think we'll be nominated.
There was no BAM. A year ago, like every BAM podcast was nominated, and then
our nominee. You're going to have to do your own now.
This year, none were nominated. All right, so we're continuing with what's going on with NAR. We're going to continue to cover this. And Realtor Mag put out a video from the new president, Tracey Kasper. Tracey Kasper, the headline here is "Realtors are hurting, but we have hope." So she put together a 5-minute video. NAR's president acknowledges the pain caused by harassment at the association and lays out steps for change moving forward. This is different from her quotes like about a week ago where she was just like...
Oh, no, she gets... we'll watch it. I think we have to watch it.
I haven't watched it.
I watched maybe the first beginning of it just to see if this was even anything worth... But she does start chewing into some of the changes.
Okay, because I didn't think she was really saying much of substance in her quotes. Yeah. But now we have a video from her. This is different.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
Let's see what Tracey Kasper, the new president for the National Association of Realtors, thinks about the whole situation.
Yes.
To all of my NAR colleagues, I have both a heavy heart and one of hope as we grapple with a very difficult situation. The leadership team and the executive committee met last week regarding recent reports of sexual harassment and other misconduct that led to the resignation of our last president. And I want to take a moment to talk with you about this and answer some questions that you might have. Let me start by acknowledging the members and staff who are hurting right now. Their trust has been broken. It's upsetting to hear that some members and staff have not felt safe or respected, and I want you to know that I hear you. The leadership team and the executive committee hears you. We must figure out what NAR needs to do to make sure that every member and every association staff person always feels respected and valued. One of the questions that we're hearing is, how did this happen? And I can promise you, going forward, we will do and be better. First, we are going to engage outside experts to assess the way reports of misconduct are investigated and resolved. While NAR investigates every complaint received, sometimes with the assistance of outside legal counsel, we will evaluate that process and those outcomes. We expect that there will be recommendations to implement new and better safeguards and procedures. And second, we will evaluate the way that leaders are selected, the power and control that they have, and how they interact with the association staff professionals.
That's who we are.
So we totally should have turned that into a drinking game. And how many times did you look at how much time was left?
Oh, every 12 seconds. So I took notes.
I was so distracted. I was so distracted by you always going over the video to see how much time was left.
It was a 5-minute long video. We obviously didn't play the whole video. You got the gist of the, couple minutes there that we shared with you. I took some notes. You can go watch the last 3 minutes. There's really nothing after the first 2 minutes, by the way. There's nothing. It's all filler words.
It's all, again, much like her statements, it has been a bunch of words.
Yeah. Yeah, we said that earlier, about her statements before. So number one, I don't know, they're paying Hava's media group, and I don't know if Hava's is like, when they're paying $46 million a year to this marketing media group, I don't know if they're the ones, maybe it's a PR firm, like when they come up with this video idea to put out. Who picked the music?
I don't know.
Who is making money to select that?
I wonder how much money they paid to have the rights to it.
It feels so inauthentic.
Well, it feels like, I think I listened to that. Have I been telling you that I've been trying to sleep through the night? It sounds like the music.
Great decision.
It sounds like the music that I played.
They're trying to pacify you.
Yeah, they're trying to make me feel calm.
Get the most out of our content by subscribing to BAMX. BAMX members get access to all of our courses, live streams, and our community, as well as our Hot Sheet daily downloads. It's literally coffee money to get in, and you get discounts to all of our events and our merch store, which is coming soon. If you're not a member of BAMX, you're missing out on the best content in real estate and the best access to practitioners and not pontificators in the space. There's plenty of them out there. Just look at NAR. Join BAMX today. Use code REALWORD to get 10% off. Use code REALWORD to get 10% off. NAR is trying to put the pacifier in your mouth, realtor.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make you believe they are the white knight. They're the good guys. They're going to come in and save you and your business, and everything that's happened is going to be A-okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be just fine because we're here.
Yeah.
We've always been here. She says we need to be better. We've been saying that for years.
And do better. We need to be and do better.
Yeah, we already knew that before this,
right.
Okay? If you want to be authentic on this, don't sit there with somebody writing a 5-minute video and you put really bad music in the background. If you want to be authentic, do a town hall. Have people like you and I. Have the Notorious R.O.B, who's joining us next week here on the pod. Have 10, 12, 20 industry thought leaders asking very specific questions. Have 100 members.
Yeah.
Have a town hall like you would on a debate.
Right. I was
And
gonna say presidential election, yeah.
and let's figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And you're
Well,
saying
she is welcoming feedback. I wonder
she
how
says-
they're gonna sort of work through all that.
continue to share your thoughts. Okay. What are you doing with those thoughts? What are your responses to it? Here are the responses in the canned video. They're going to come up with outside experts. Now, there's a piece on Inman here in the last week that found National Association of Realtors initiated investigation, found evidence last year that the organization's highest leaders engaged in disrespectful and creepy behavior. So
Creepy.
NAR's own initiated investigation found this.
Right.
They never said it. Despite later public claims that it didn't have problems with self-misconduct, according to a confidential July letter from the law firm Tap to Probe harassment allegations. So they had, what did she say? Outside experts.
She said that they'll have outside investigations and then maybe outside attorneys to help sort of self-regulate them.
They've already done it, and they
Right.
swept it under the rug once.
Yeah.
So what are these outside firms going to do if you're willing to write and dictate the narrative?
Right.
Okay. So we can go back to that Inman piece because that was out after last week's pod. She also said, and she sounds like a very nice person. She's a broker owner.
I'll be
She continues
honest,
to call herself a volunteer making $300,000.
I will say
from NAR,
I think she was
but-
the right person to deliver the message.
Okay.
I
yeah,
think so.
to read a canned
I
message.
thought she was-
Sure.
I
She
thought
was
she-
very good at
She was lovely at it.
delivering
yes.
the canned message.
You know, I think she was obviously trying to get, trying to be empathetic. She did say she was a broker owner. She is currently selling real estate.
Every president's a broker owner, by the way. They're
Yeah.
all members.
selling real estate every day.
Or not necessarily a broker owner, but an agent. Will she be an agent of change is my question. So she says that they're going to, number two, and these are the two big takeaways, outside experts to evaluate,
Yep.
which they've already done and fumbled. Number two, they're going to evaluate the way leaders are selected.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't get into how. I think we need a extermination of the people that have been there for decades.
Well, and maybe if they're volunteers, maybe they should be paid that way too.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean,
$300,000 is not a volunteer salary.
No.
That's just not a volunteer.
No.
I'm sorry.
no.
She said that this is like a real estate transaction. This is nothing like a real estate transaction. This is this is more like I've said it before, like a dictatorship, a mafioso environment, a corporation that has run amok. This is nothing like an issue that comes up in a real estate transaction. She's like, this is like an issue in a real estate transaction. We'll find the solution. This is not an issue. This is systemic allegations, 29 of them
Right.
in an organization. Then you've got, to Notorious
On top
R.O.B's
of
point,
everything else.
San
Yeah.
Diego Association embezzling money, buying Louis bags
Oh,
of Louis.
yeah?
Oh yeah, $50,000,
Wow.
charges.
Good for her.
Not
I mean,
not
that's-
Tracy. This is
No,
San
I
Diego
know, I'm
Association. No,
hearing
this is
you.
the just board. So the board basically, is seeing these receipts from
Yeah.
San Diego Association of Realtors for years, just embezzling money. Anyways, I know we're going to get into that a little bit next week with Notorious R.O.B, and he's right. We should
I
be
hope
just
we're
as
giving Rob
furious
enough
about
time.
that.
Are we giving Rob enough time?
Yeah, we're going to give. If he wants to go for a full hour, we'll go for a full hour. I'm looking
okay.
forward to
Yeah,
that.
it sounds like we're going to have some dirt.
How about this one? They're creating a culture PAG.
I saw that.
Another committee. How many committees can there be?
Did you? She actually addresses how that'll be paid too. She says that it'll be paid. Yeah, like obviously from members.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're now going to fund another committee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some people agree with the war going on in Ukraine and some
Yeah.
people don't. Ultimately, it's all our tax money. It's not in the budget, that money. It's
Right.
just like, the president has this idea, hey, we're going to go do this war, whether you agree or disagree with it. We're going to go spend this money. You see that a lot of the people right now polling on both sides to be the next president, the ones that are polling the highest are typically the ones that are saying we're not going to spend taxpayers' money where they're not voting for it to go to that place, right? So we're going to create culture PAG.
Yeah.
We don't have a say in that.
No.
It's just
She
another
she already
committee
has
of
it.
many.
And she displays the new leader of PAG.
Yeah.
They've already
selected.
He's already picked.
We're going to evaluate the way leaders are selected. I don't know anything about him. He could be a great guy.
I'm sure he's a great guy.
But he's already been selected.
He's been selected.
We're going to start this thing in a week. We've already got a leader in place.
He's in.
I wonder if he's been around the block a little bit.
But now, I mean, at this point, you've already looked at the time, probably at least 18 times. I'm actually curious how many people actually got through the video. I mean, you were listening to it because you kind of had to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't suggest going and listening to the last three.
But I think that
was
the music. That was the music shtick. You know, you were kind of. I saw your eyes get heavy.
She said, "Members, we have a lot of work to do." I hope she was talking about leadership and not as a collective. Like,
right.
like
you,
we
like
have a
you
lot
have
of.
a lot of work
I have a lot of work to do.
You do have a lot of work to do.
No, I don't have any work to do. In fact, I hopefully have a leadership structure that's about to burn to the ground.
Right.
And here's the thing. NAR hasn't been challenged. She mentions in there, how we hold up fair housing. Well, fair housing is a law.
Yeah.
So whether you're a realtor or not, you have to abide by fair housing.
Right.
You didn't invent it.
Right.
NAR. Okay, so it's a law.
Well, they're just inventing new ways to teach it,
It's a law. Whether you're a realtor or not, you've got to abide by that, okay? By the way, if you're not a realtor, some of the hokey-pokey code of ethics you don't have to abide by. And most states are making you be a realtor. Not every state is. You would have to check your particular state. And so, I mean, that's the gist of that. I go back now to this Inman piece, which I thought it was sent to me from the Compass agent who started the NAR accountability group. He considers this a smoking gun of sorts.
Yep.
That they swept this under the rug. That they had this law firm look into the harassment allegations. Attorney Denise Drake wrote a letter to NAR CEO Bob Goldberg on July 14th. Drake works for, this isn't Drake the rapper, this is Denise Drake, the attorney.
It's a shame.
Okay. For the Polsinelli law firm, which NAR tapped to investigate allegations of misbehavior in 2022 to vet the claims raised in a lawsuit filed by former NAR employee Janelle Brevard, which we've been covering. The lawsuit specifically accused Parcel of racial and sexual harassment. The purpose of the letter was to offer legal advice on how NAR leaders should behave, as well as how to handle communications in the wake of Brevard's lawsuit. Drake's letter sent her letter to Goldberg just over 2 weeks after Brevard filed the lawsuit, and 1 week after Brevard voluntarily withdrew the case because of that settlement, which she later said that she was pressured into. The letter mentions creepy behavior from NAR leaders. The most significant revelation.
Like creepy is just like that. Like you feel that.
You feel the word creepy?
Yeah, I feel the word creepy.
The most significant revelation in the letter is that Polsinelli and Drake apparently found evidence of misconduct back in 2022.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if they went back even further, I mean, who knows what they would find?
Right.
Yeah.
I found some issues raised last year were true. Those issues range from NAR's highest leaders.
Right. The CEO is still there.
What's higher than the CEO?
Right.
Being disrespectful or lying about staff or members to leaders being racially insensitive or engaging in sexually or creepy communications or actions. Again, both female and male leaders were identified as having been involved in some of the allegations I found valid. Because, you thought it was, or first glance, it was like, okay, Tracey's the president, that might be refreshing. But the president before Kenny was a female too.
Right.
So, real estate, oftentimes, unfortunately, you ever try to crack into a good market? Let us know in the comments. You try to crack into a new market or a new community, and you're getting blackballed by other agents.
Right.
There has always been, whether male or female, this good old boys club mentality among realtors.
Right.
Whether that's territorial and they want to admit it or not, or whether that's, basically who's in the club, like situations like this, how we're selecting leaders. So that the creepy allegations go up to the highest rank in NAR. I would assume that's the CEO. The letter resembles NAR's public condemnations of Brevard's case. And the letter notes that NAR tried to support Parcel.
Right.
So they went out of their way to support Parcel, who has been... Listen, if he was in the clear on all this, it'd be... you would be fighting tooth and nail. He's saying he's doing it for the good of NAR.
Right.
He's saying he's fully cleared. He's innocent.
Could you imagine that, Bill?
Of the allegations, but because he likes NAR so much, he's going to step away so he's not a distraction. No.
Yeah.
If I was wrongly accused,
Of course.
you think I wouldn't be out there screaming from the mountaintops every single day, fighting back?
100%.
Of course I would.
Yeah.
Any man would do that
Right.
with dignity.
Yeah.
But he clearly probably did something not right.
Right.
We're going to get to talk to Notorious R.O.B about this whole, agents are definitely
It's like Johnny Depp.
Talking
It would be a
more-
whole new, could be like a whole nother court TV
Oh, wow.
scandal. I mean,
That was fascinating.
that gave us entertainment for like months.
That was great.
Yeah. I mean, he fought it. I mean, he made himself look, he obviously he did a lot of embarrassing things too, but like he was willing to sort of put himself out there to
Yeah.
get to the truth.
To get to the truth.
Right.
Yeah. If you were really trying to, Kenny Parcel, unfortunately for him, that he'll never lose this tag.
No.
So if you were 100% innocent, you would want to remove that tag from your name.
Like I here are my indiscretions. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of like, what's his name? Remember, the basketball player that passed away in the helicopter. I mean, his wife.
Kobe.
His wife stood by him. Like he
Did you
accepted.
not remember his name?
For a moment,
Wow.
I forgot. He and his wife stood by him. Like,
Yeah.
here we are. This is what I've done. But this is the truth, and this is what's happening. Yeah.
That was not a Laker employee, by the way. That was
No, I agree. But
so totally different situation.
100% different. But my point is,
Not that it was like-
he didn't hide. He didn't quit basketball. He didn't. It's
No, he stood up and said, "Here's what I've done wrong. Here's what's being misreported on.
Right.
Here's what's true.
Yes.
There was no really, it was what it was. It was a very messy situation for him, for his family.
Of
You're right.
course.
His wife decided that she would stand
Yeah.
by him.
I mean, again, if that's really all that it was, and it sounds like this is a spousal dispute, but
the problem is that I have is, okay, if that's all it was a consensual affair with but my
Again-
problem is you're doing it in my business,
of
bro.
course, no, we've talked about
Okay.
that. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah.
100%.
'Cause NAR's my
But again,
business.
he's saying that it like that there isn't a problem. But again, there anyway.
You got 1.5 million members.
Yeah.
And you're using your volunteer salary
Right.
as leverage.
And status, your volunteer status.
You know what's interesting is I think me and you both we're on the same side. Greg and Notorious R.O.B on his industry relations pod, Greg was making the case I think that you and I were. Certainly you were definitely making this case last week, where it's like your status makes it worse because you're a superior, you're this person's boss.
100%.
Direct report potentially.
Whether he feels that or not, he is.
Rob was, I don't want to put words in his mouth. We can ask him about it next
think
week.
we should.
But he's like, what difference does that make to this guy, Greg? And Greg's like, what do you mean? That makes all the world of difference.
Huge difference. Again, I'm sure for the individual in that power situation probably doesn't realize that that's how maybe others are. I mean,
That's where the sexual harassment comes in because she was fired. He was in a higher ranking position. She might have felt a certain way
right.
About this. It might have made consensual relations happen when, now we're getting into a guessing game. Maybe she didn't
For
want
sure.
I'm just saying.
I mean, even if she came on to him, he still should have said no in that position.
Of course he should have.
Yes. And that
wow,
obviously
100%.
And that did not happen.
Because listen, you've got 1.5 million members paying you guys money to make decisions, not to go into the coat room.
Right. I hope it was in the coat room and not in the office.
I'm sure it wasn't in the coat room.
Maybe it was.
Or in the office.
You think there's a coat room?
I
Or
don't
did they have coat rooms anymore?
Notorious R.O.B, you got to listen to this pod. It was very good.
Yeah, I will.
Maybe we should link it up. Haley,
Yeah, link it up. To prep everyone for next week.
Yeah, to prep everybody for next week, where Rob stands on all this. I mean, he brought up Bill Clinton having relations with somebody he works with, and then just moving on with his
Presidency?
presidency. And so Rob's position, and we're going to talk about it next week, is that agents should be more concerned with the embezzling of funds at San Diego Association of Realtors. It's not getting as much attention as this. I mean, the best thing that happened to San Diego Association of Realtors was this, because all the attention went over here.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe we should be concentrating on it, but I think in that situation, obviously, it's just affecting the individuals that are part of that.
SDAR.
Right. This is I can't say everybody, but a majority of realtors are paying into this fund of volunteers.
And it's, to me, it just highlights the hypocrisy that has been going on at NAR for years. What I've always known to be true, that this is a scam beyond scams.
Right.
That people are elevating this to be something so that they can keep their cushy volunteer paid 6-figure plus positions. All right, we're going to get into it next week.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, I think that Notorious R.O.B has 2 feet to stand, but I don't think it needs to be like this or that. I think it can be this and this.
We read the Substack. You should listen to his pod. We're going to link it down below so you guys can listen to it as well, leading into next week, where we have a full conversation with Rob. He can bring Greg if he'd like. I'll let him know. It's going to be like the Brady Bunch.
We're going to have all these.
Yeah, we'll have our boxes.
All of our boxes.
It'll be a lot of fun. We haven't done one of these on The Real Word in a long time. Somebody on Twitter X said, you guys should debate. Rob said, we don't really have to debate. We can have a conversation. I think we're going to have a really good conversation.
Yeah, I love debates, I don't think that there's anything to debate.
I don't think there's anything. I agree with Rob.
There's nothing to debate here.
Unfortunately,
it's all wrong.
For my sake, I love debates.
I know.
There's not a really.
There's nothing.
He agrees, and we said this last week. He agrees. This is bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Subscribe so you guys see it next week.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
See you guys.